Hello, KBMOD, and welcome to an interview. We haven't done one of these in a while, and we don't get to do them usually over audio unless it's on the podcast. But we have, of course, me, Dan, aka Nibnops. We've got Nikon Punch here with us, and Hexadecimal.
Hello.
And our guest here tonight is Todd Harris, COO of Hi-Rez Studios.
Hey guys.
Recently launched Smite fame. So unfortunately, none of us could make it down to the expo you guys had down there, which looked fucking awesome.
I will be there next year. If there's one next year, I will make it happen.
Yeah, I plan to be there next year as well.
Cool. Yeah, that's what everyone said who attended. So sucks you guys couldn't make it, but next year we'll do it again.
Good.
Yeah, Mark and I looked into it as much as we could, but couldn't make it happen. So how was it, man? It looked crazy. There's streams like hours and hours each day, and of course the tournament.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was a pretty big deal because we hadn't done anything like that. But it was really two events. You know, we were doing it at the same time. So there was the launch tournament for Smite. So that was 3 days of almost nonstop content, and then this GameVidExpo, which was kind of an experiment, but it turned out to be pretty cool. We had a lot of speakers, you know, folks doing what you guys do on Twitch and YouTube, but it kind of came out of us hearing from people that there just wasn't a convention focused on this. You know, like there's a couple big YouTube conventions, but actually what I heard from the gaming folks is it's mainly like 13-year-olds looking for Justin Bieber lookalikes, and that, you know, I mean, that's really seriously just what they said. And so the gaming content was a little bit pushed to the side, and so they'll probably change that over time. But we just thought there was this opportunity, I guess, like a space for something like this to happen. So, you know, good panels, Total Biscuit, Creatures, Smosh folks, folks from the industry side, like Twitch and NVIDIA and, you know, other hardware manufacturers, and just a good time. Yeah. I mean, something new, pretty small since it was a first year thing, but we'll keep doing it. And I think it's going to keep growing. So
do you know what your attendance was this year?
We sold just about 1,000 tickets, which was actually all we could hold live. I mean, the original concept, and that was to GameVidExpo, and then it was another 1,000 live at the launch tournament. So when we came up with this idea, it was let's do the launch tournament and let's do this GameVidExpo and let's put them both in the same venue. And we were originally imagining like 1,000 total, and then we put out tickets for the launch tournament, and that sold out almost immediately. And so that was 1,000 folks. And then we had to move it to a different venue and then do GameVidExpo at a hotel, the W Hotel. And those tickets went a little slower because it was the first time thing. But again, that was basically another 1,000, and then we were pretty much full. So next time we'll move to an even bigger space, and I think it'll keep growing. But we didn't want it to be huge. The whole idea was like small face-to-face and bigger online reach, you know? So
yeah, definitely. I think you guys will do well. I mean, I think that's how a lot of especially on East Coast where there's not a lot of game venues at this point, aside from PAX, that's how they started. The small thing, like let's get the community involved. Let's want them to be involved and grow it up from there. But after seeing our friends, especially at YouTube, where Renee and Max were out there, and they were super excited. Spoon and Spoonerism were both out there. They were super excited about it. I think if you grab that audience and you bring all their fans with you, you're going to get it grow, and you're going to want other people there. So like Nikon and I said, I want to be there next year. I wanted to be there this year. Just couldn't make it happen. But now that I know you're going to do it again,
yep,
we're planning for it. We're
cool.
We're going to be there.
Yeah, and I think it was just a good time because it's a chance for people an easy way to do meet and greets with your fans that's not as crazy as PAX at this point,
Definitely.
It's just a little more intimate, and same with just kind of the parties that we had, again, just like a chance to actually talk with folks. So it was just a good chill time. So
And it sounds like it has a good payoff for people who are like maybe people like me and anyone on KBMOD who are kind of trying the whole streaming YouTube stuff, but it's a good place to make contacts and just talk with people you may know online and just have a face-to-face. With the focus being on that, not PAX where it's about video games. This is more.
Yeah, it's entirely the content creation side. It's gaming meets online video and just all about that explosion. And I think we had a lot of sessions this time that were just focused on how do I get started, and how do I think about a multi-channel network and the pros and cons of that. But with next year, I think there'll be some content that's even more intermediate or advanced, basically. So, yeah, I think it'll keep growing.
Very cool. You're right, though. There is no... I mean, this definitely fills a void. There is no space for content creators like that, or no convention. I mean, PAX you meet up with people, but there's 70,000 other people there, so there's a lot of fans and stuff, or a lot more than there would be at something where it's focused on content creation. Yeah,
and even again, feedback we got, even some of the various like Minecraft conventions, which are that's kind of the king of content creation from a gaming franchise. But again, we got feedback from some of those folks that it's just a different vibe, and it's not entirely focused on that. And so I think it was a good time for those Minecraft content creators, video creators that came also.
So sorry, go ahead, Dan. No, go ahead.
So Smite launch, huge tournament. Was this the biggest tournament money-wise ever?
It was. Yeah. So first of all, I have to rag on you guys. I would consider myself a friend of the KBMOD podcast.
Very
correct?
much so. Oh, yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Regular listener, right?
Knowing that you pump our podcast, where very occasionally we rag on you guys through your studio,
well, ragging is fine, but I'd rather people notice me, but just like avoidance. I mean, so Tuesday, the 25th.
Oh no.
It wasn't a purposeful thing. It was
admittedly a long beta process, right? Admittedly the day of a little Blizzard game.
What you're telling me is that Hi-Rez is a long beta process?
Exactly. So
I'm going to need to know more about this.
So Blizzard game drops. Okay, worth a mention. A little BioShock thing drops. And then I'm just expecting you're building up to it, right?
You guys are the payoff. You're the money shot.
So just
basically.
Listen. Any debates about
I'm buying it right now. Definitely flew under the radar.
Game Hunter Pro Hunts.
Oh god.
Okay, that was your number 3, like the big Game Hunter Pro Hunter hunts.
Look, man, have you ever headshotted a bear?
We honestly, the main reason we didn't mention full launch
is because of tribes. That's why. I'm really butthurt about tribes. I wanted to make another montage, man.
Still hurt.
Was honestly the beta. It was honestly the beta. That is honestly why. Because we were like, that game's been out forever, so it didn't even cross. And when I source those, I go through Steam, and I go through IGN's new releases, and I go through VG releases and just see what's on there. And Smite wasn't listed on anywhere. And so when I don't see it like that, I knew it was coming out.
Words, just words.
So that actually.
And I really knew about the launch tournament and everything.
I'm just giving you guys hell. You actually talked about it. You talked about it the next week, so I'm just giving you crap. But so yes, it launched, and we had a mega tournament, and it was by far the biggest event and prize pool that we've done. So we've kind of been we've been doing the esports thing with online tournaments for a while, and we've had a few LAN events. We did PAX East, we did PAX Prime, we did Gamescom, or ESL did. They were all good events. But this idea of like doing it ourselves in Atlanta, around launch, was something that was a pretty big effort. So it was 4 of the best teams from North America that had qualified via online play since January. 4 teams from Europe. We put up $100,000 prize pool that we thought was pretty respectable, and then the community raised in 2 months another $100,000 poolside and skin. Nikon knows it. So and we just basically said for every skin we sell, we'll donate $5, and that more or less, and a few other smaller items, but most of it came from that. Raised the second $100,000, and it was great. I mean, it was the teams put on some amazing games, had some awesome moments.
I looked at PC Gamer had a compilation today of the 12 best moments of the Smite tournament.
Yep.
And there was some crazy stuff. Only 1 pentakill all weekend.
Yes.
Oh, but that pentakill was so high.
It was pretty high.
Everyone's playing Vamana on live right now, thanks to Game Hunter from TSN with that pentakill. But it was hype.
Man, those 2 games were probably the best 2 games of Smite I've ever watched, and that was like the first day.
Yeah.
I didn't get any work done that entire 2 hours. I was watching. I'm like, I'll put it off to the side, and I'll get work done. And I'll just, whenever they start yelling, I'll watch it. I didn't take my eyes off of it the entire time. I had to do work over the weekend.
That's cool. Yeah, the pentakill was good, and also, I mean, just the jukes. I mean, the thing about Smite, again, that makes it a little different from the other MOBAs, right? I mean, there were just some amazing evades, right? Where
sure, yeah.
And those got the crowd really pumped up too. So it was cool. Yeah, it was a really good event. I mean, I just the team, the Hi-Rez team, and partners that helped put it on, I think just did a great job, and hopefully it came off well for the viewers, because it was definitely fun if you were there.
It definitely did. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't played Smite in probably the past 6 months, and I just finished a 2-hour stream of doing Smite after watching this event, because it just got me hyped for the game. I wanted, as watching those level of players play it, and even though like occasionally I'll hop on and watch Bart's streams or whatever, watching how those players play and how the things played out, I was like, man, this game is fun, and the graphics are so different from when I played in beta. I got to get back in this. And maybe can you speak to that a little bit, like the visuals, especially for the game. I played it, I'll admit, probably last November was the last time I really was into Smite. It's been about 6 months. You guys really did a visual upgrade. What prompted that, or what was the process behind that?
Yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of time on that, so good. People are noticing. I mean, just
it's a beautiful game.
Thanks. I mean, we were focused on the gameplay first, and I think the gameplay's gotten better. At the beginning, it was like, and I've told the origin, which is basically it started as a game mode of Global Agenda. It wasn't like we're going to make a 3D version of League of Legends. It was like, this will be a fun game mode of Global Agenda. Let's put in towers. So it was always a third-person action game first, and then it was like, there can be this MOBA mode. So we focused on gameplay. A lot of the attacks in the beginning were kind of boring. I mean, they were cones or they were AoEs, and we weren't really using the 3D space, right? Not like Thor that ganks you from above. So the gameplay's gotten better as the game kind of found itself. And then once that happened, we could let the artists spend more time polishing. And so we took every, there's multiple maps and modes, and we took every one of those maps and redid all the art in every one, and went back to a lot of the characters and redid them, and really went from the original style was a little more cartoony and a little less detailed, and we just went in a more realistic direction with the textures, right, which just make the characters, most of them, feel more badass. So it's still gods, obviously, and there's still some more fantastical designs in some cases, but with the realistic textures. The trees went from these lumpy broccoli looking things to speed tree with individual leaves, and the detail on the ground and the detail on the columns. I mean, we just gave the artist time to work on that stuff and get the detail there. And I think the overall art direction has improved a lot. It was a little more of a mishmash of different styles at the beginning because we were just,
figuring it out.
Yeah, we're like, oh man, we've only got 10 gods. We need at least 20 for anyone to even play this thing, and let's get them out there really quickly. And so I think both the gameplay and most noticeable from a first impression, the graphics have gotten better, and it's just props to the art team who've just been working really hard on that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they've done an amazing job. It just, I mean, I know for a fact you guys have the DX11 mode now, which I've enabled, and it looks really, really nice. The one thing that I'll notice, specifically I've noticed, is that I know that for a while Sun Wukong disappeared. He was gone. He was out of there. And then he came back. He was a totally different character.
Yeah.
And he's still a good character, and he's actually one of the only extra skins that I've purchased with gems. Is I bought the Sith Lord skin.
Yeah.
What prompted that decision?
We can't say
Well,
Sith.
You can't say Sith. Lord. That's trade more.
It has nothing to do with the Sith. No.
No. He's just a Dark Lord with a very similar sound effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So what prompted that change? Like, why did you go from that super cartoony monkey kind of character to going into this darker?
Well, they redid a few.
There were several.
Yes.
There's pretty big overhaul.
Yes, we did.
That one stands out the most to me personally.
Yes, but Sun Wukong was a major change. So
super big change.
Yeah, and that one's pretty easy story. It's entirely based on the feedback that we got around China. So we just missed it completely the first time around, right? So he was one of the very early gods. We did research, actually found a lot of historical reference, but the way he came out, I mean, he looked kind of like a circus monkey, like an organ grinder would have, basically. Yep. And there were some depictions like that where he was shown, but Sun Wukong is very popular. I mean, not just in China, obviously. He's in other video games. He's in movies, right? And when we signed this deal a while back around working with Tencent Games, and basically they're going to distribute the game in China. And so they've got an interest in making sure the game's successful. And part of that is making sure the gods are appealing, right? So they were super happy, by the way, that we've included all the Chinese pantheons. It wasn't like, oh, we worship them and they can't be in the game. We get a little that on the Hindu side, but that's another topic. For China, they're like, yes, all these characters are great, but you really messed up Sun Wukong. I mean, they're like, he's like a monkey, or a man with a monkey's face, not like a monkey that's bent over, like ooh ah ah. I mean, it was such. I would compare it as if this Chinese company said they were going to make a character or they're going to make a game and it has the character Batman in it, and they depicted Batman as like a bat with a man's face and be like, look, here's Batman, DC Comics Batman. I mean, it was kind of like that big of a miss. So So we basically were like, well, we screwed up. Sun Wukong is not a good Sun Wukong. He's not fierce enough. He doesn't look tough. He's not accurate with the modern lore. So we pulled him. People actually liked the gameplay. So that's where he kind of got transformed into Hunbots, this Mayan god. So we could keep the same style of gameplay while we worked with them to come up with a better Sun Wukong, and now the new Sun Wukong is a lot of people's favorite character visually and thematically. He's versatile. He really fits with his lore. He's got the cudgel. He's got transformations. I mean, he looks really good. So that's one of the more extreme examples of redoing something.
Oh no, I'll admit I love to see his character. He's very versatile, but I hate to play against him because I'm terrible at him.
Oh yeah. Well, and then he turns into a bird and escapes all the time. And it's so annoying in the playtest. This one guy, Matt, every time you're about to kill him, he just assumes bird form, or he jumps in that cloud. He's really annoying.
Which is why you made it so
purple applied.
I know.
Thanks.
I know.
Thanks for making Poseidon annoying again. I hate that god.
Exactly.
So speaking of China, we talked a little bit about it. Actually, me and you at PAX Prime, but so obviously partnered with Tencent. Huge deal there. So you changed Sun Wukong, obviously, for a Chinese audience. Was there anything else you had to do? I hear you can't like show bone in like
that is
games
true
in China.
That is
and there's
true.
like
There's not that many restrictions really, but that is one of them. So as far as how they think about the dead and ancestors, and I don't know all the reasons for it, but you cannot show bones. So, a lot of people have heard that like World of Warcraft had to make changes, and really every game has had to make changes. You can show zombies, but you can't show bones. So
crazy.
Yeah, so if you look at like in Smite, Hades had exposed bones. That's changed. And also there's a few rules around blood also, and that was a big driver from actually the Kali change. I mean, some people think that we changed the Kali because it was response to protests from Hindu groups who were upset or other things. It was really it was two things. It was one, well, she's holding a head and she dealt with a lot of blood, and that wasn't so cool for China. And two, her original model again was just not very good, and her original kit was incredibly not popular, and she just needed to change because no one was playing her. So it actually had nothing to do with in that case any reaction from the group, but it did have to do with what we could show in China, and that her first version wasn't popular in the US.
At that point, does the Bloodfire skin for Hades even exist in the Chinese version? It would hit all of those marks, like
that's right.
Bone, so blood, all those things.
Yep, it doesn't. And obviously, skins is the the easy way where you can be specific per territory and more culturally relevant. I mean, they may not exactly get the Aphrodite with the giant afro either. Like that may not be a big seller there, but
So that game it's full release, obviously, as
not in China yet.
Well, yeah, not in China. I was about to say it's in beta in China, right?
Yep. Yeah, it is. They run a pretty deliberate, smaller closed beta. So they've had a few of them, and they've got a couple more. And if all goes well, and so far it's going well, then before the end of the year, it will be out there, and get ready for that Chinese meta esports while.
Yeah, I was going to say as far as tournaments, that's going to really change things.
Yep.
Once Chinese teams get involved. So that is exciting. That'll be huge when that comes out over there.
Do you think that, so assuming you do another event like GameVidExpo next year, do you plan on having the Chinese teams that are in full release come and participate in something like that? Do you think it will change how the tournament structure works or anything along those lines?
So, yeah, we've talked about that at a high level, and generally the plan that we'll be announcing in the next few weeks in more detail is we'll have online qualifiers. We'll have actually a couple more LAN events this year, 2 more NA LAN events and 2 more EU LAN events that are region locked, and in those areas that'll qualify teams from NA and EU, and then it'll basically qualify folks for what will be our World Championship in Atlanta, and we'll also have a qualification process for China teams. So yeah, the next time that there's cross-region LAN play, it'll be NA, EU, and also China teams.
Okay.
Cool.
Very cool. So we've already went over. We're going to have another GameVidExpo and the future of the competitive scene there with China coming in. As far as Hi-Rez as a whole, not just Smite, anything in the works for the future there?
No major changes or announcements. I mean, we're sticking with Smite for a while. I mean, we unfortunately have a bit of this reputation of like shipping and moving on. I'll just put it out there. I don't. Personally, I think we put a lot of effort into both Global Agenda after shipping and Tribes after shipping. But fans want it to continue forever, and sometimes it sometimes it just can't for business reasons. And
Sure.
fortunately,
Right, for sure.
fortunately, Smite can. So one, I mean, it's doing well, and we want it to keep doing well so that we have resources to make other games, maybe revisit some of those franchises in the future. And the best chance of that is Smite continuing to do well, honestly.
Right.
And
for
then,
sure.
and then two, I mean, that reputation, honestly, I mean, it pisses us all off. So I think the only way to fight it is with our actions, right? I mean, we've tried to be real transparent on the other games and just been like, we wish we could.
You definitely
we
have.
could
Yeah, absolutely.
do it, but actions speak louder than words. And so if we were to ship Smite and then move on, I think that would continue to hang around our neck. I mean, the internet's not rational all the time, but if we
That's very true.
if we keep supporting the game, from an esports standpoint, from a content standpoint, then hopefully people see that and appreciate that. And so that's good.
Yeah,
That's good for the studio.
I logged
Absolutely.
into Tribes
Yeah,
not
sure.
too long ago, and it's still pretty active. I mean,
It
log-
really is.
go log into Call of Duty Black Ops 2 right now and try to find a match. That was an amazing game. That was one of the few Call of Duties I like, and it's dead. Go log into Tribes. You can find full servers on West and East Coast. So
Yeah, exactly.
people will complain, but Tribes is a better game than Call of Duty.
That's,
It
that's
It's
right.
made by a smaller studio, so shut up,
Thanks.
Internet.
Yeah. It's not RIP yet. I mean, the servers are on, man. Jump in. It's free.
Yeah. Oh no, they're definitely on. So I'm going to ask you the question that maybe you don't want to hear, or maybe you don't want
Sure.
to answer. And if you don't want to answer, that's fine. But obviously, there's been some grassroots hacker type community stuff that's been like, "Hey, we're going to release a non-official Tribes SDK."
Yeah.
And that was something you guys talked about at one point. Obviously,
Yep.
maybe not something you want to do anymore, and that's
Yep.
totally understandable. You've moved on to other things, and obviously, for you at this point, MOBAs and Smite specifically, I understand why you moved to Smite, because there's a larger audience there.
doing work, man.
It's doing work, absolutely. It's very popular, and obviously, you did this amazing event in Georgia.
Yep.
Surrounding these incredible professional teams. And I'll be honest, the event this last weekend is the reason I'm playing Smite again. It got me excited about the game, and it made me want to play it some more. But
Cool.
as someone who played Tribes in the beta and was super into that game and wants to see it flourish further and is seeing this kind of community grassroots, hey, I want to keep deving for this game. Is there plans there to maybe just let it go out free into the wild, or maybe try and help that community, or you're just gonna let it go where it's going and do what you want to do with it? Either way is fine. It's your IP, it's your property. You want to do what you want to do with it.
Let him answer, man.
But what do you want to do with that? What do you want to do with Tribes at this point?
So, I mean, we love Tribes of franchise. Again, we bought it, and I think it has potential as a franchise beyond Ascend. I do understand the community want for for modding and map making. That's always been part of Tribes, right? And the people that are the most passionate for that associate that sort of thing, with the franchise, and that's what they want to do. So, I mean, our right now we're not working on map and mod tools. That's point number one. We did consider it. We did look at it. Unfortunately, even though Unreal makes it really easy, we did a lot of stuff to make it really, really hard. So, it may be a lesson learned there, but that's not something we're actively pursuing right now, I can say. And on the grassroots, I mean, we've basically told them that if they are able to enable something that lets people play custom content, but it's not commercially sold, and it's not getting around our version of monetization, basically, so that people are getting it for free, then we're not gonna. Then it's all good. I mean, basically, we're whether you want to say we're looking the other way or we're just letting it happen. I mean, that would be our approach, is
Unofficially condoning.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So that's the deal there.
Well, and to touch
It's
on your,
a good thing Brandon's not here, but
Yeah, he'd be downloading
like,
those. He'd be downloading that SDK now, probably.
as far as you guys pushing like the Tribes engine to crazy places and stuff, you've done that with Smite too. Like Smite as a spectator sport is incredible to watch. And I had never played a MOBA before I played Smite. I've tried playing League of Legends since then. I've tried playing Dota. I don't like it. So what you've done with Smite, I think, brings in a whole new audience for mobile players just because you go to that third person perspective. It makes a little bit more sense for me logically.
I was just going to say, we actually have, I mean, we're thrilled that people continue to enjoy Tribes. And again, even though we're not actively doing new content, I mean, we hop in from time to time. We're glad that the servers are up. We have no plans to turn the servers off anytime soon. But we do have a lot of Tribes players or players of Call of Duty or other shooters that are actually playing Smite because they like the WASD movement. And it's like a gateway MOBA for them. Maybe one day they'll also get into League or Dota 2, and that'll be fine too. We've got, even though you don't see too many people that play League and Dota 2, right? They kind of hate each other, but we have plenty that they'll play one of those and then they'll play Smite just maybe a little more casually, right? They'll hop in Arena, or they'll do it because our games are shorter, or for whatever reason it's a little more compatible. So yeah, I actually, the MOBA kind of drives people crazy because there's so many copycat products out there, honestly, because everyone's chasing the money. But the bottom line is, it's a format that lets you have 5 individual players, compete, that has enough replayability and also enough interest with the itemization and everything that analysts and casters can cover it and add value and educate the viewer. And so there's a lot of elements that are making it successful as an esport. I mean, even very basic things like number of people on a team, which was honestly a challenge for Tribes. I mean, with Tribes Ascend, our spectator mode was not as good as it is with Smite, and that more investment there would make it better. But at the end of the day, it still was a minimum of 7 people traveling on a team, and that was different from the pub game that people play. And you guys have talked about this. When you have a different version for pro play versus what the public's playing, that's just another barrier around people understanding esports. So there's a lot of things that are going in the right direction for MOBA. That's more than Smite. Smite's just in that wave of things. And so whether it's called MOBA or something else, I think you're going to see a lot more game products kind of in that category. I mean, it's almost like there was MOBA 1.0, which was, it started with Dota, and then you could say it's basically was a mod project, right? That was like 1.0. And then 2.0 is like, okay, more polished versions of that same gameplay. And I'd put Dota 2 obviously in that category. It's the same game with a lot of polish and love and care. And League of Legends is, they made some design choices, around some things to maybe get rid of mechanics they didn't think added value. And that's like version 2. And we kind of think of Smite and some other games as like version 3, where you're innovating around one more thing, right? For us, it's the third-person camera, and other people are picking other things. And I think you're actually probably going to see more games, honestly, come after Smite, because with Blizzard throwing their hat in the ring, I think game companies are finally going to say, well, we can't compete there. There's like too much 2D isometric clicky style MOBA, right? There's already a 1, a 2 there, and now Blizzard. So,
not everyone wants to click too.
Yeah, so I think
that's
this.
Why Smite is
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I actually think this category of action or people were third person, it's going to almost become an expanding category that'll include more than Smite, because it's a popular thing for esports, and other developers are going to try some stuff, and probably some of it's going to work. So.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Nikon. I mean, you guys, you're definitely different than League or Dota, and I've played both of those games at this point, and I can't get into them, but there's something about how Smite works from a third-person perspective, and I feel like it almost attaches you a little closer to your god at that point, where you know how all their powers work, and you're right there behind them. And maybe it's just the way that I play games. I'm more into those type of third-person shooter type of games, but it's a very good blend of how those two game types work.
Thanks. Yeah, and that's kind of I mean, again, it's hard for me to know what like my bias as a gamer is more of that versus RTS style controls, but I kind of think there's a trend towards more immersion for gamers, right? I mean, look at all the VR stuff. That's the extreme case. But let's just say being, more in the action, more visceral, a little more realistic, just more immersion. And Smite is kind of that. And there'll be other entries also that I think will make sense because that's just kind of a trend for the gaming industry, and it'll be a trend for MOBAs also.
So can I ask you a crazy question then?
Sure.
Would you ever consider doing Oculus with Smite? Because I just imagine playing Thor, ulting up, and just like looking around.
I was about to ask that same question. I'm so glad you asked it.
I joked about that on Twitter, but then thought about it. I was like, actually, that would be amazing.
It would be great. No,
it would be pretty sweet. It would also be pretty sweet if you didn't throw up over yourself to do tribes on Oculus Rift.
Oh, God.
Imagine looking behind you, skiing like crazy. So we have
tribes and Oculus, please, Todd. I'm asking you. I've never asked you for anything in my entire life, but tribes and Oculus, just make it happen. I think I
would throw up. I mean, honestly, though, I can say. So we only have one of the early dev model Oculus that we've just we mess around with a little bit, and now we're going to get the HD version and see. I mean, it's awesome technology. So we don't have any near-term plans, but I can tell you that Erez is he's the other founder of Hi-Rez. He's the founder with the huge pile of money that let us actually start the studio and find our way for a while before we hit something that works. And he would say that he started a game company because he believes that one day we're all going to be living in a virtual reality universe, and we might as well be the ones building it. So
fair enough.
There you go.
Well, there we go. And congratulations once again on the Smite launch.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, always good talking with you guys. And sorry I'll miss you at PAX, but it sounds like I'll see you at the next GameVidExpo and Smite World Championship.
So I have one last question for you. Since you're not going to be at PAX, I know last year, I guess was it last year at PAX? Yeah, last year at PAX East.
I think it was.
There was a pretty big Smite presence. Will anyone else from Hi-Rez be there? Will Bart or any of the other guys be doing a big Smite tournament again at PAX East with Twitch? Things like that?
We won't, just because we just are on the heels of this one. So, all the teams are in the middle of traveling home and collecting themselves. So the timing was just a little bit too close. So
spending all that money too.
Yeah, exactly. So no big presence this year. We'll probably end up sending someone and being in a partner booth and letting people harass them to get those Guan Yu convention skins. So so we'll do that at a minimum, but no real booth presence this time.
Well, when you do that, let us know who and where so we can go harass them as well.
Cool, we'll do.
I just have one last comment too, just because I've spent a lot of hours on Smite. You can ask my wife; she'll tell you.
You are the resident.
Yes, no, I know you are the expert
here at KBMOD. Yeah.
I'm too away from mastering every single god, and I need to finish that because it's bugging me. But
51, that's pretty damn impressive.
Well, I'm at 49, and I need like 20 more worshippers for each one, if that. Anyway, the one thing that I love that you guys do is you're willing to change stuff, even though every time we hate it. And then later on, we realize, no, that's actually better. Don't stop doing that. Because first you had the outer lanes and then you took them away and we all bitched about that. And then you changed the map completely and we complained about that. Now the game is a lot more fun. It's a lot faster. I say don't be afraid to change crap, even though you think we may complain about it. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know I complain about Smite a lot. But I also praise it a lot when it's doing good, and you guys are doing a lot of good. So,
I just feel like an idiot tonight when I asked somebody, "Do we want to go left lane or right lane?" and no one knew what the hell I was talking about because it's been 6 months since I played the game. So,
yeah, exactly.
Way to go on the big changes.
But it
was way better though. It was way better than the old version of the game, and I really enjoyed it. So I agree with Mark 100%. Cool. Don't be afraid to make big changes.
All right. Well, that's 2-year beta. You can make a lot of freaking changes.
Yes, you can.
You can make a lot of changes.
Iteration on iteration.
That's what we're about.
All right, Todd.
All right, cool. Well,
thanks for joining
yeah,
us.
always a good time. So
Thanks so much, Todd.
thanks, guys. Okay.
We'll talk to you later.
All right. Night.